Hello, a bit of a cock up again this morning is basically these young Turks who get together in the basements and make things much better for us actually complicate things beyond all recognition. So nothing ever does anything twice the same on any given day. So we just have to live with it, don't we? We just have to live with it. So here we go, living with it. Welcome to Mirador Television, broadcasting from the White Hart Hotel in Lewes, East Sussex, with the quirkiest news you've ever come across. But nonetheless, we get straight to the point and call it like it is, straight from the hip. Yes, yes, indeed. Right. You remember the old song, do you? Some of you will, some of you won't. Yes, we have no bananas. Yes, we have no bananas today. Well, get ready because rationing is on its way. In fact, rationing is already taking place, except this time it's market forces, not a little clip in a book that dispensed by the government. All sorts of things are simply just not available. And that is on the background of now President Putin has decided he is going to rip up treaties and simply say, to hell with it. If I feel like bombing you with a nuclear bomb, I'm going to, and I don't care. I'm not going to honor what I've signed in the past as far as using nuclear bombs or missiles are concerned. So it's actually we're heading back to 1945, 1939, really. It's sophisticated, much more sophisticated 1939, because we've got all this high tech floating around, which is becoming uncontrollable. But just the same, we've got the East versus the West. We've got a rogue state now, and that's what Russia is becoming, a rogue state against the Allies, as they're called, and many similarities between who's doing what and what's doing who. We let's just see if we can get there we go. Just get all the bits and bobs, all the things tapped in. At one time, you'd have had 30 people putting out to put out what we put out with just me, and I say just me. I'm the only one here. First thing in the morning, I can't ask my people to get out of bed at 5:30 every morning. I do it myself, but I also don't have the high tech expertise that goes together with, generally speaking, running an operation like this. So you just have to accept the fact that the quirky bit is also the bit where none of it ever goes right. It all goes wrong. And so we were late on the air this morning, and it is now, well, we've been on for about 3 minutes, I guess. So we came on about 5 minutes late. I do apologize for that. I apologize. So we had better go to the headlines straight away. And the Times, first of all, Putin signals the return of Cold War nuclear tests. You know, the Kremlin is ready to do all sorts of strange things. nowadays, and returning to nuclear war is one of them. And I'm afraid that we just have to put up with the fact that we've now got one madman yelling and shouting and screaming against another, and that the world is a very, very insecure place again right now. And we can expect, if nothing more, a few missiles to be bristled by our so-called leaders. The world turns, and this time it's turned 300. Right, okay. So the Times focuses on the continuing conflict in Ukraine. It reports that Russia's President Putin has suspended its participation in the New START treaty. That's the last treaty signed with the United States, with the purpose of limiting the number and development of long-range nuclear missiles, warheads, and launch platforms by both nations. Putin used his State of the Nation address in Moscow to accuse the West of starting the war in Ukraine as a provocation against Russia. Well, they are. Depends who you believe and how it's phrased as to whether there's any merit in that or not. We have actually, in fairness to Putin, I'm not supporting his stance, but he did say when he signed treaties that there would not be any NATO country bordering Russia. Well, maybe in theory there's not, but generally speaking, there are NATO sympathetic countries that border Russia, and we can't expect him to go lightly. The fact that he's overreacted, perhaps, is a different kettle of fish, but nonetheless, he's not totally blameless. The Daily Mail: your lust for land and power will fail, it says. And it's got Joe Biden and Putin on one side of the page and the other. And it turns its attention to comments instead. It turns away from the rationing issue to comments made by President Joe Biden during his visit to Poland, historic visit to Poland. Mr. Biden said Russia's invasion was an existential threat to freedom and democracy everywhere. President Putin's craven lust for land and power will fail, and the Ukrainian people's love for their country will prevail. That's what Mr. Biden told a crowd of 1,000 or thousands in the Polish capital, Warsaw, a day after he arrived on his first trip to Eastern Europe. Ukraine, 1 year on, it's to be scared, but we fight. As the Mirror's front page takes a look from the front line ahead of the 1 year anniversary of the conflict. We are courageous and we are right. Student Nastasia tells the Mirror in Kiev. So, in other words, what they're saying is the general populace are behind their own President Zelensky. The Daily Mail: aha, here we go, rationing of fruit and veg. And we need to get up a picture, I think, of fruit and veg, don't we? Because this is really come upon us, and there are 1,000 reasons why we're going to rationing. Only some of them is the war. To be quite honest with you, where we're at, I think, is we are at a situation, a stage where we have no longer got competent leaders. Their policies take us from one struggle to another, and most of them are caused by fiscal policies, by the way they've handled the economy. and that is the prime cause of us having rationing. But the war, to some extent, has affected that. Some food shortages in supermarkets. Asda and Morrison's have introduced rationing on some fresh fruit and vegetables, including tomatoes and peppers. Shortages are being blamed on adverse weather and transport difficulties in Spain and North Africa, where a significant proportion of food at this time of year hails from. That's where it comes from. The Express reports that rationing of some goods could last for weeks. So you better get used to it. Better get used to this rationing. Doesn't do much for the government. People just don't ask the question of what the real reason is. Is rationing came in under the Tories, and that's it. Okay, get them out. I wouldn't stand a chance of thinking that I would get anywhere if I was a Tory. Right, the Star, the thin end of the veg, it says, play on words as usual. The Star reports that farmers are warning of a shortage of potatoes and lettuce. Is this end the thin end of the veg? Says its front page headline. Wow, wow, wow. Right, okay. Now, Sunak is, where is he? He's warning about the thin end of the wedge, and no, this is the end of the wedge. That was a play on words. Believe it or not, we haven't got a picture of Sydney. Oh, well. What to do? So what we'll do is, first of all, let's not get the misnomer, because we're not actually talking about the veg just a moment or two. That's a side issue. So we had better. Now get back to the beautiful face. They call football the beautiful game, and this the beautiful that, and now you can feast your eyes on true beauty. Oh dear, ugly is as ugly does, as they say. But we oh dear. We had better just take a covering shot, I think, of Westminster. Shall we? Yes, we shall. If we can find one. We're not very happy this morning at all. There we go. So Sunak weighs 5% public sector pay rise after a 30 billion Treasury windfall. Now, the information I got here is I have no idea where this 30 billion windfall came from. And did they know about it for some time? Have they been playing fast and loose with the money? Have they been trying to scare us into doing various things? I mean, actually, I wish in some ways that I'd got to Liza Page here because she has these theories about various decisions are made to be able to control us. And it would seem to me that you don't just wake up one morning and say, oh, I've got 30 billion. I've got 30 billion in the treasury. Now I can do a few things with it. And anyway, at 30 billion windfall, should that be going to pay excessive salaries and fees? The Prime Minister is exploring a 5% pay rise offer for the public sector workers to end an escalating wave of strikes after the Treasury was given this unexpected £30 billion. The Royal College of Nursing called off next week's 48-hour strike in England to restart intensive negotiations with Health Secretary Steve Barclay on the news that this money is floating around. All right, the Daily Telegraph. It goes along once again with public sector to be offered a 3.5% pay rise. And then it follows up with supermarkets ration fruit and vegetables. Right. 3.5%. Okay, The Guardian. Nurses pause a strike action to enter intensive pay talks. Whoopee the nurses. A move on the suspension of the nurses' strike from The Guardian, which describes the negotiations between the government and unions in an unexpected move by both sides, has made it clear that the first detailed pay negotiations since the nurses began striking in December offer a real prospect that the growing campaign of industrial action by the RCN and the disruption it is bringing to the NHS services could soon be at an end. Now, this morning when I got onto the bus, the bus was quite empty. And I normally try to have at least a 30-second chat with the bus drivers. Of course, that's their busy period. He's driving the buses. But he said he thought it might be to do with no trains. And I don't know whether there are any trains today or not. If there are no trains, then it explains why the streets are busy. If it's not, if there are not any trains, then why are we suddenly got a flood of cars? Because looking out onto the high street, which in many instances we find of the morning almost empty of traffic and so on. This morning, on the contrary, it's pretty damn full. Just for you all, is 8:53, and it's that's the time. The Eye. Sunak is getting tough with his cabinet. Resign if you want to, he tells ministers, and he calls the Tory rebels bluff on the Brexit deal. These reports that sources close to the Prime Minister have dismissed resignation threats from some junior members, and once over his Brexit and deal and dining. Let's go back. Resignation from some junior ministers over his Brexit deal. Downing Street believes that all will not follow through on those threats, the paper says. There you are. Son, Nicola, and they stayed with Nicola, and we see what they have to say. Well, we would, except we don't seem to have got a picture up of her either. No, we haven't. It's not well prepared this morning, Keith. There we go. Nicola, the cops failed MySIS too. A suicide mum abandoned by the same force as that in, let's see, it's Lancashire force, isn't it? That is under the microscope on this. But the Sun reports that the family of a mum who went missing and took her own life is claiming she was failed by the Lancashire police. So Lancashire police in a bit of a hassle over Nicola and other missing ladies. The Metro, a ring of hatred inside the Met. What the Metro is saying is that generally speaking, there is misconduct of 8 former and serving Met police officers over offensive remarks shared in a WhatsApp group. 3 former officers have admitted gross misconduct after being part of the group which shared sexist, racist, and homophobic messages. The Metro reports that one of the officers, Sergeant Luke Thomas, repeatedly mocked Harvey Price, the disabled son of Katie Price. Well, there you are. They got a bit naughty, haven't they? It's now 8:56. My goodness me, 8:56, and what we need to do is to take a quick look at where we are. Let's see. Let's hope we got the right one. Well, we did. We got the right one. Now let's take a quick look, because we haven't got many minutes left, to the Sussex Live. New rules at supermarkets over the fruit and vegetable shortage that we're experiencing. There it is. Right. Asda and Morrison's are the first to put in measures, and other supermarkets are expected to follow suit. And the details on that are that particularly a shortage of tomatoes is affecting UK supermarkets and is widening to other fruit and vegetables, and is likely to last weeks. A combination of bad weather and transport problems and mismanagement, it doesn't say that, in Africa and Europe has seen UK supermarkets shelves left bare of tomatoes, as well as dwindling stocks of some other fresh produce. Asda has introduced a customer limit of three on tomatoes and peppers and cucumbers, lettuce, salad bags, broccoli, cauliflower, and raspberries. And Morrison said it would be introducing limits of 2 items per customer across tomatoes, cucumbers, lettuce, peppers, and all this is happening from Wednesday. So there you are. So it's getting tough. It's getting rough at the top. So let's see if other things of any. Let's see. Well, the other news is a murder investigation seen in photos after teen dies in stabbing. This is becoming monotonous. Really, we are out of control. as a society. We're out of control. And one could say it's easy, Keith, for you to sit there and criticize. Yes, it is easy for me to sit and criticize, but I shouldn't have to have these sort of things to criticize. We are becoming a lawless society. We get these stories almost daily. A Crawley murder investigation seen in photos after teenager 18 dies in stabbing. Ah, my goodness me! It's it's just absolute rubbish. It really is rubbish. And after relatively quiet times, is the heartbroken families pay loving tributes to 3 men killed in a Sussex crash. That Sussex crash was, let's see, Eastbourne. And tributes have been paid to Daniel Davis, John, quote, Tommy Miller, and Johnny Day. And they have the 3 men involved in the crash were all from Berkshire and were traveling in the same vehicle when the incident happened in Derby Drive, Decoy Drive. We saw 2 men traveling in a separate vehicle arrested on suspicion of murder. Oh dear. Suspicion of murder, that's pretty heavy stuff. Well, anything else? Helicopter and drones used in search for a missing vulnerable woman. This is the next one that's becoming nationally prominent. Laurel Aldridge, as the family is left clutching at straws. And helicopters and drones and dog search teams have been used in the search for Laurel, the sister-in-law of actor Mackenzie Crook. She's 62 years old, from Walberton, and was last seen on the morning of Valentine's Day, leaving her home. Has not been seen since. Dear. And Southern to offer cheaper train tickets for commuters on Mondays and Fridays. Oh, well, now that's a help, because it's almost impossible to get to London now. Southern to offer cheaper train tickets for commuters. Let's see. To boost the number of commuters, in particular, Agovia Thameslink, which operates the company, is hoping to increase the number of people traveling on Mondays and Fridays. Advanced peak tickets will be available on both days, as GTR hopes to combat the post-COVID trend of heading to the that's rather nice. We just got a notification through somebody in British Columbia, way back on the west coast of Canada, 8 hours and 7,000 miles away. Likes what she's watching this morning. Franny, thank you very much. Delighted to have you with us. All right, okay, so anyway, Thameslink and Southern are trialing Monday and Friday cheaper tickets to try and persuade people to go to work on Monday and Friday. I'm not sure whether that's a great step forward, but even so. Right, okie dokie. That has been sort of a pretty basically. What have we got this morning? Half decent weather, we'll say that. But a fruit and vegetable rationing scheme coming into practice. And President Putin threatening to rip up all treaties to do with nuclear weapons. He is ready now to take us on. And it looks as if Joe Biden, who went to Poland yesterday, still there, I think, is ready to take him on. So the big boys are coming to grips with what they see as, oh, yes, he did. Oh, no, he didn't. And we'd better hope that they can actually come to grips with it without pulling a trigger, one or the other of them. Okay, 9:06. We've made up our lost time. We will be back in about half an hour with some more program stuff. And until then, let us say toodle pip. We can say it. And once more, we'll do it. See you in half an hour.